Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport. And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love. We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be. So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm knee deep in swim meets. And so that's why I was running a few minutes behind, because I had a bunch of swim offs today at practice for relays, because I have to have all the lineup in for our championship meet in the next couple days. So we did a bunch of swim offs. So I am plugging all those numbers into the relays because we're only allowed one relay per age group.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, and you just told me what my wellness one was. You just reminded me of what my wellness
was. Share.
So I really kind of wasn't sure. I'm like, I don't know. My swimmer, Kaden, qualified for senior state meet this past weekend, and this will be my first long course senior state meet that I'm attending. I've attended one short course senior state meet. I've had one swimmer qualify again, but it was in Athens and I didn't really want to go. And she was like, you don't need to go. And it's just, they can't afford all us coaches going. So,
right.
And what I mean, all us coaches is we're one lifetime. So all 5 lifetimes are one unit at a swim meet. So Kaden qualified. I'm really psyched. It's in Athens, Georgia. It's next weekend. And so I'm just a really proud coach that he qualified under me as his coach. And that always makes me really happy and proud.
Yeah. We've had 3 swim meets since our last recording of the podcast. It's been a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I am blown away because it's toward the end of our season. And since we're just a summer swim team, I would say 3/4 of our kids only swim in the summer.
Right.
And so to see their improvement from year to year and from the beginning to the end of the summer is so amazing. And we just had a kid at the swim meet on Tuesday break the league record in the 8 and under 100 freestyle. So that's the other thing I was doing just now, which is why I was running a couple minutes behind, is submitting that to the league as an official league record that was held. The previous league record was from 2009. So one of my 8 and under boys, his name is Callan. He broke the 16-year standing league record in 100 freestyle. So that's really exciting. So I totally get why that's a wellness win for you.
Yeah, because again, athletes we coach are a reflection of us and our coaching. Yes. And I'm not as competitive as I used to be, but I was a competitive swimmer. So like, I get it. The emotion I'm feeling for these athletes who are competitive that I coach, I was once them at their age in their youth. So it just brings back memories, and I'm excited to go to Athens.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, congrats
Thanks
to both of you.
Thank you.
My wellness win, I just thought of today as well, because I was like, what's happened in the last week that I've been most proud of? So I was thinking of that for our wellness win, because sometimes we try to make it like a big thing that's like a big deal. Like the last couple of weeks, you've been thinking, oh, I don't really have one because everything's just been moving along. So because we always try to think of something like really big and exciting in our life. And I'm like, well, what's the thing I'm most proud of from the last week? And it is this. I bought a bag of potato chips yesterday, and there's like half the bag still left today.
You still have some left.
So for me, like, that is massive, because
how big a bag?
Like a regular,
okay,
like 6 ounces or whatever, like the potato chip bag is.
6 servings.
Yeah, 6 servings. And I usually easily, if I don't eat it in one sitting, I'll eat it like breakfast. Not breakfast. Oh, that made me sound pretty bad. Potato chips for breakfast. Lunch, like I'll eat like half the bag for lunch and half the bag with dinner. And so yesterday I had like maybe a fourth of the bag for lunch and a fourth of the bag for dinner. And then I had some just before this, I was making my lunch and I took a handful and I was like, oh my gosh, there's still like a bunch left in the bag. And I'm like, I've had this bag for over 24 hours and there's still some left and I'm full. Like I already ate my lunch, so I won't be eating anymore today. I mean, I'll eat dinner, but we're going to the buffet for dinner. So I was like, wellness win.
Speaking of chips, last night at like 8:00, we went to the grocery store for some items that Don wanted to bake some cookies for one of his coworkers. And all of a sudden I saw these pickles. So I had a craving for pickles. And so I bought some pickles, and I think I was a little dehydrated too. And then right at like the cash register, there was a 2-serving bag, a little bag of Lay's dill pickle flavor Lay's potato chips. And I grabbed them and I'm like, this is a total impulse buy because I just had it. I'm just about to eat a jar of pickles. Why not add some chips to it? But again, you know, and I thought it was going to be like a 4-serving bag, but when you open it, it shrinks.
Right.
And so you end up getting half the bag full of chips. And it was, I just looked, it was 2 servings. And again, because I just ate like a jar of pickles on the way home, I opened the chips just because I really wanted to see what they tasted like. And they were actually very good, but I only ate half the bag. So I really only ate 1 serving of them. And then I'll eat your other serving today. So it's really funny because I used to be that way as well. Like once I open a bag of chips or cereal back in my college days, I would just eat the whole box of cereal or the whole bag of chips, especially tortilla chips. And it used to be too much information right now, but it used to be a PMS symptom. I knew I was going to menstruate when I was craving tortilla chips because I just couldn't get enough tortilla chips. And I'm like, oh, that's a sign that I'm going to have my cycle any day now. And I don't have that anymore. So I don't really crave the chips like I used to.
I have to send you this video came across like Instagram or something last night. And this lady is hilarious. And she was like talking about all the benefits of pickle juice and like, she's from another country. So she has a really thick accent and she's just holding this jar of pickle juice and talking about all this. And she was just so funny. And I saved it because it was making me laugh. So I'll send it to you. You'll totally laugh, especially after your pickle juice thing last night.
Definitely. And I saw Jennifer Garcia Jagar posted something about an ADHD person. And I forgot about you. I'll send it to you. I send it to my husband. Classic Don.
So funny.
Classic Don behavior. I'll send it to you too. It was funny.
Okay. Yeah. My coach, my assistant coaches, when I work with him at Coach in the mornings, I'll start saying something and then of course start saying something else. And he goes, stop. He goes, finish what you're telling me. He's like, or you will never come back to it. I'm like, oh yeah, thank you. So I'll like tell him really quick. But yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing. So today, Wendy and I wanted to actually talk about 2 different things. One is very important for overall health and wellness and longevity. And it's very important right now because we're in the middle of summer. Wendy and I both coach swim team. So we are outside a lot. Like my swim meet Saturday last week we got there at 6 a.m. and I left at 3 p.m. So I do the math. I was outside for a really long time. And then we had a swim meet Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And night meaning in the evening where it's still sunny. So we are outside a lot. So we wanted to talk a little bit about sun protection, about the health of your skin, sunscreen, all the things that have to do with summer and sun and protecting your skin. Because a statistic I read is that 1 in 5 adults will get some sort of skin cancer because of, and I'm in Colorado, we're really close to the sun. We're at high altitude. We live a mile high. So the sun is a lot stronger where we are. And then where Wendy lives, the sun, sometimes when it's a little more humid and people are inside more, or it's a little more cloudy and you don't think you're going to get sunburn because you're like, oh, it's a little more overcast or a little more humid. So it doesn't feel as like blazing hot. You don't necessarily think about the sun protection and protecting your skin. So Wendy, what are some things that you have learned over the years? Because not only do Wendy and I both work outside all summer, we train outside as well.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, everyone's talking about the nationwide, heat and humidity and heat advisories and all
Agreed.
that, and hydration and electrolytes and how to modify your training, keep your training level in the easy zone and don't go hard, and how to acclimate, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no one's talking about skincare. And, it's something you don't want to forget when you're training outside. I mean, yeah, sure, you have to modify everything you're doing with your activity level, but you also have to put sunscreen on. And I get the most sun damage when it is overcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a couple months ago, my son-in-law was like, "You're putting sunscreen on?" Because I was going for like an hour run. I'm like, "Yeah, he's like, "It's cloudy." I'm like, "Exactly why I put sunscreen on." Because those UVA rays, they're still coming through the clouds. They still exist. And it's the UVA rays that, that torch my skin. And for me, I go to the dermatology every 6 months because I have basal cell carcinoma, which is a precancer condition. And every 6 months, they find a new spot on my body. And it's from my childhood years of, those teenage high school years, junior high years, where you're baking in the sun. We go to morning practice. We sunbathe all day. We go to afternoon practice. We put oil on our body to attract more sun to our skin. That's what we used to do.
Yep.
I would avoid the sunscreen, and all my, all this precancer issues that my skin and damaged skin is mostly due to my younger years, as well as, getting into the sport in my 20s as a multi-sport athlete and going on these big, 4, 5, 6 hour days, training days, and not reapplying. Oh, I applied sunscreen at 6 in the morning. Well, it's new. Did you reapply? Because all that sweat, it is washing it off. So it's really important to reapply. And I just hate sun damage. It's like, just over the years, we've learned so much. There's no reason to get the sun damage based on all the studies and the concerns they have about skin cancer. And I know a few people who have the skin cancer, I'm spacing, melanoma. Melanoma is the deadly form of skin cancer, and it's a very rapid growth. And it's very, it's just, you could die from a skin cancer growth. And I know a couple of people, they haven't died. I know one person who has passed away from it, but I have 2 other friends who luckily have survived. But again, once you have cancer, the chances of it reoccurring are high. And
Right.
skin cancer is a big deal. I hadn't done the research on how many people die of melanoma, but it is a big deal. So people, take care of your skin, wear the sunscreen, reapply, carry little bottle. I carry little bottles with me now while I go out training to make sure I reapply. And it's always on the top of my mind, especially because we're coaching outside so frequently.
Right. And a couple important things that Wendy mentioned. Number one, reapplication is the best defense of keeping your skin healthy from the sun, because even though it says, like, if it says water resistance for 80 minutes, like that's pretty common on sunblock now and sunscreen. It'll say water resistant for 80 minutes. 80 minutes basically is an hour. It's a little over an hour. And when you're sweating or swimming or even getting splashed in the water, that's coming off with, it says water resistant. Like, I don't think any sunscreen is allowed to say like 100% waterproof.
Right.
Because I think that's, and even if it was, so if it says like SPF 50, people are like, oh, that's a high SPF. I just put it on and I'm good for the day. But that just means that you can be in the sun 50 times longer than normal before you get sunburned. If I'm in the sun for 1 minute, I get sunburned.
Right. Me too.
So if I'm doing sunscreen 50, sunblock 50, I can be outside for 50 minutes before I get sunburned. So even if it's,
yeah,
even
that was
if
a learning experience for me.
Yeah. And especially like in Colorado, or if any of you guys have like gone up to the mountains or higher elevation, wherever you live, you're going to get burnt twice as fast, because when you're at higher altitude, the sun is stronger.
Right. And you want to make sure, if you're on any sort of medications, if one of the side effects is increased sun exposure or sun damage. So I'm on a medication for osteoporosis, and I feel like I've been getting burnt quite easily, like short amount of times. I feel like, oh my God, I just got burned. I had sunscreen on. Maybe my medication is causing me to have a higher frequency of sun damage because of the medication. So it's something to look into for sure, as well as, and I'm really bad about this, if you keep sunscreen in your car and your car's 100 degrees, it's going to, I don't know if eliminate's the right word, but your sunscreen is not going to be as effective because it's exposed to high temperatures. So replace that sunscreen that you've had in your car for 6 months in the heat, because it's probably not effective, and it does expire. So
No,
again,
I
I
made that
make sure I
mistake
throw all my
years
sunscreen
ago.
away, and I go through bottles, but I'll like throw it all away at the end of the year and start over
Yeah.
next season.
Yeah, I've made that mistake several times. Like it's spring. I'm going to do my first long run outside because I train mostly indoors all winter. And it'll be like April or March. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go outside for an hour or two. And I just grab whatever sunscreen, put it on, and I get back and I'm like, why am I burned? Oh, it expired last year.
And I get so mad at myself. I get so mad at
It's a
myself for
simple
being like,
thing.
oh, it's because your sunscreen's been in the car and you just need to get new sunscreen.
Yeah. And the good news is, you guys, because when I was younger, I same as Wendy, I was on summer swim team. We never ever wore sunscreen. In fact, we would spray cooking spray on us. We would put baby oil on us, like Wendy had said, so that we could get more sun. It kind of reminds me of like the old ladies holding the like tinfoil reflective thing under their face so that they can get like super dark with the sun reflecting off the aluminum foil. That was completely the thing back when we were kids. And it wasn't even in my early 20s and my early 30s, my whole 20s to early 30s. You think you're invincible when you're young. And I didn't want to, I had kind of bad skin. I was on erythromycin, which does, it does do more sun damage. That is one of those medications. And I was on Retin-A on my skin, which also increases sun damage. And I didn't want to wear sunscreen because back then all the sunscreens were very pore clogging and I didn't have very good skin to begin with. So I just avoided sunscreen on my face. And the great thing about these days is there are so many super nourishing sunscreens. So they have all the same great things that you buy your fancy face lotion. It just has sunscreen added. Mm-hmm. And there's so many great options. I actually just bought this sunscreen that I tried out that I love, love, love. I can't wear it when I swim because it kind of gets slippery in the water and I don't like that. But if I'm not swimming, I'll wear it. I don't know the brand, but it has, it's supposed to have like prebiotics and probiotics and all these great things for your face. And when I put it on, I could feel it. It doesn't dry out your skin at all. It just feels really good. And it was sunblock 50 and it was water resistant and all the good things and hypoallergenic and it's safe for babies and all the good things. So there are some really nourishing sunscreens out there. And then after, if you do, forget to reapply or you do have some sunscreen, also aftercare for your skin can also make a difference. Something really nourishing like pure aloe vera, not to be confused with the things that say aloe vera gel that are like 0.02% aloe vera and the rest is green food dye and alcohol and it burns when you put it on. If it's regular aloe vera, it's not going to burn when you put it on.
Right. And, I usually put the zinc oxide type of sunscreen on my face that turns it white. And I used to hate that because I'm like, I'm all white. Gross. And I'm like, my face is covered. It's all white. I know it's covered with sunscreen. And then I usually will buy spray to spray my back.
Yeah,
and then I'll usually put the zinc oxide or the spray, whatever is most convenient, all over my skin. But for sure, the zinc oxide stuff, thick stuff, white stuff on my face, spray on my back because I can't reach. And then either the spray or the lotion on my arms. And it's just so important to use.
I remember when my niece was in high school, junior high or high school, my whole family's super blonde hair, blue eyed, really, really light, fair skin. And she was starting to get a lot of sun damage on her nose. And her doctor told her to use, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's like that diaper rash cream, that Destinin or whatever it was called. And it's like a diaper rash cream and it's white. Like if you remember back in the olden days. And she was like, oh my gosh, my doctor's having me put butt cream on my nose and it would make it pure white. But it's because it was zinc oxide. Because back then, not a lot of sunblocks were the zinc oxide, but now a lot of them are. So just look for those mineral sunscreens because they are more of a sunblock. They block out the sun better than if it says sunblock, it's blocks out the sun like the mineral sun blocks, and then sunscreen is still better than nothing, but it doesn't block out all the rays. I wanted to also mention, because I go to the dermatologist also, and I go every 6 months. She takes a picture of all my things that look kind of iffy, and then we just recheck them every 6 months, take a picture again and see if they've grown, whatever. But one thing she had told me, which doesn't pertain to me or Wendy, if you know what we look like, because we're both really fair. But my dermatologist is actually really dark skinned. And she said when she was young, she never, ever wore sunscreen because back then they thought if you had dark pigmented skin, you weren't susceptible to any of the sun issues that the really fair skin people have. And she said that's a complete myth. So she, it was just, I never thought of it because that's not in my world. Like me, my family, my daughter, we always wear tons of sunscreen because we're really fair. But even if you have darker skin or olive skin, my mom's skin is more olive. And growing up, she was like, oh yeah, it's nice. I just tan. Like I don't ever burn. I just tan. But that's just as bad for your skin.
Right.
Like the sun damage is the same whether you burn or you tan.
Right.
It's still sun damage. So it's a great, even if you're not susceptible to it like Wendy and I are, have it be part of your annual wellness checkups. Like if you get a physical, we always talk about getting your blood work every year, mammogram every year, pap smear every few years, all these things that we do to make sure that we are well and to catch things early, preventative maintenance. If 1 in 5 people get some sort of skin cancer throughout their lifetime as an adult, a lot of that could probably be prevented or at least caught immediately with regular visits to the dermatologist. So I would say that would be a simple thing that we can all do. Sunscreen, reapply, and then see a dermatologist at least once a year. But if you're out in the sun a lot like Wendy and I are, or you're really fair skinned like us, or spent our entire childhood getting fried. And I one time when I first started doing passion parties, I went to a ton of networking meetings and met other women who own their own business. And there's a dermatologist there. And she brought this machine that you can look at parts of your body, like your hand or your ear or your face or your nose, and see where the sun damage is. And I was young. I was like 30 something and looking at my ears. Like I used to never think about, even when I was doing sunscreen, when I started doing sunscreen, I put on my face and my neck. I never did ears until I saw my ears under those ultraviolet lights or whatever they were. And they were so damaged. So now when I'm done with my face, I squirt some on my hands and I just sit and like cover my ears with sunblock.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something I wouldn't think about either.
Yeah. And my sister she's had a little piece of her ear removed from sun damage from some cancerous cells. And it was on her ear. So ears, chins, noses, the things that kind of stick out that you don't think about.
Yeah. I've had a Mohs procedure, which is on my face, 2 areas on my face. And that's just where they kind of dig into you and then they sample the tissue. And if the cancer has spread, then they got to go in further into the area where there's more cancerous cells. And then they did a pretty good job. Like, I can't even tell you where they did it, because they do a really good job with like the procedure with the stitching you back up. And thankfully both areas they've only had to go in once, and the
And
cancer
then it went away.
yeah, the cancer was so superficial at the surface that it was fine. I'm going with my mom on Monday because she had something right here that she has to have removed. But so there's a lot of good things that they can do to catch stuff early and hopefully prevent future spread.
That is, and you know what? It's a great reminder. Um I think it's been like 9 months since I went, and I usually go every 6 months, but this year just got crazy, and I keep pushing everything. And so thank you. I'm glad we did this because it's a good reminder. So hopefully you guys get it on the schedule, go see your dermatologist. Even if you don't know, even if you don't think you have any issues with it, it's good to get a baseline. Like, I remember the first time I went, she's like, okay, this doesn't seem like an issue, like something on my back, but I'm going to take a picture of it to make sure it stays within the parameters that it's in.
Yeah, I think the baseline, again, if you've never gone, get the baseline. So if something does pop up in the future, they can look at where you were X amount of months or years ago to see if something is growing or if it's new or how it's changed.
Right. Oh, the other thing also, I just started, my lips also get really, really sunburned easily. And every time I race my bottom lip, like right here, like right now, you can't see it because the camera makes me look better than I am. But there's like little blisters on the inside of my lip because I got sunburned at the race last weekend. I must like stick out my lip or something when I run, because every time I race, I get sunburned on my bottom lip. But I've always had lip sunscreen, but I've never found a good one that stays on, because I'm constantly licking my lips, or like when I race, I'm drinking things, like, you're always drinking things or wiping your mouth or wiping your face. And so I found Sunbum has, and I hate the flavor. I don't like flavored stuff on my lips. So I would never just keep reapplying because the flavor, I just like, So I found these Sunbum ones that stick. It's the zinc oxide, and there's no flavor at all, and it stays on. And when I use that, like I've been using that every morning at practice, and I reapply that, I've had no problems with my lips. And typically that's another thing. If you look at your lips in that ultraviolet light, most people have a lot of sun damage on their lips, because you put on your sunscreen and then you eat lunch or something, you wipe off your face, and then you're wiping it off your lips. And I think, like you said, your mom has something going on there. Like, I think lips are a place that it just easily rubs off.
Yeah.
So take care of your skin.
And your lips. I never put anything on my lips.
You should get this Sunbum. It's Sunbum lip balm, and it's in a white little stick, no flavor, nothing. It goes on smooth, doesn't taste like sunscreen at all. And so that's what I need on my lips, like something that doesn't. I've probably tried 20 lip things, and I never had any that worked, because I never did. I just couldn't keep it on if I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So the Sunbum one is amazing. So that's our wellness. That's our wellness PSA for the day. And then Wendy, tell us what else you wanted to kind of chit chat about.
Well, so again, we're both multi-sport coaches. We're both triathletes. And there was this article going around social media about 6 triathletes share why they left the sport. So it's an age group triathletes. There was talk, I remember a few months ago, from a panel of people I was in about triathlon clubs are kind of going out of business and people are leaving the sport. And I'm like, really? Like, I haven't noticed that. I mean, to me, the sport continues to grow. And this is someone who's been in the sport this is year 33. And, 33 years ago, really, really tiny. Right. So I still see the sport growing. So it was an interesting article that I see people sharing. So I decided, I want to see what this is all about. And my first reaction was, I thought it said something about age groups retiring from the sport. And my whole thought about that is, one reason I didn't go pro is I'm like, I never want to retire from the sport. pros retire, age groupers don't. So back in the day after I won Kona in 2008, there was question about whether I was going to go pro or not. And one of my reasons that led into me not going pro is I'm like, I'm going to be a triathlete for the rest of my life. I don't want to retire because I don't want to be pro and have to be one of those who retired. So anyways, I just, opened up and quickly read the article before we got on. And it was interesting because back in the day when I did the Endurance Hour podcast with Dave Erickson, we had an in-depth discussion about whether he was still a triathlete because he stepped away from the sport for a year or so more, and he didn't feel like he could call himself a triathlete. So we kind of had this discussion about whether if you've done a triathlon, are you considered a triathlete like
If you're not
forever?
actively doing a triathlon, are you still a triathlete?
Right. And so my whole thing was yes. And he didn't feel like he was a triathlete anymore. And I'm like, yeah, you are. You've been a triathlete for so many years. You've done so many races. You do a triathlon, you're a triathlete. And as of recently, the last, 2 or 3 years since I've been doing less multi-sport and more trail running, I find myself sometimes telling people, I used to do triathlons. I'm more of a trail runner now. And
Even though
I'm
you do a
finding
triathlon
myself,
every year, you still do your triathlon every year.
I do. And then I say, I go, I guess I am still a triathlete because I do at least one triathlon race every year. But it was just an interesting change of my perspective of the identity of I used to be a triathlete. I used to be an Ironman. And again, I hated that identity. I didn't want people to just think of me as an Ironman because I was so much more than just an Ironman triathlete. But it's an identity thing, and if you stop racing or stop your sport, whatever your sport is, it doesn't have to be multi-sport. Do you consider yourself to still be a basketball player, even though you haven't played basketball in 20 years, or a baseball player, or a hockey star, or whatever your sport was? So it's
Right.
just something I wanted to maybe discuss, find out your perspective on all that, and kind of didn't know if you had read the article.
I did read the article, and I also read a lot of comments, which
Uh-huh.
I know a lot of us do that when we see something on social media. Like, I get sucked up in comments
Mm-hmm.
and I just like to read what other people think about it too, which is why Wendy and I always like to hear from you guys to know what you guys think about things.
Right.
Because that's really interesting to me to see what other people think. And when you were talking and explaining it, it's interesting because at first I was like, well, if you're not doing triathlon, like if you did triathlon for 10 years, but you haven't done it for 10 years, then you're not a triathlete anymore. But then when you were starting to mention other sports, think about all the retired basketball players, baseball players, tennis players, football players. Would they say that, like, if somebody played in the NFL for 10 years and then they retire, they're not a football player anymore?
No,
Of course
they
not.
are.
They would
They would say they're a football player.
yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know basketball, so I'm probably gonna like mess it all up. But like Michael Jordan is a basketball player. I don't think he plays basketball anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He might in his spare time, but like, would you be like, oh, Michael Jordan's not a basketball player, or John Elway's not a football player? I doubt he plays football anymore, but you would still be like, John Elway's a football player. Or like,
Right.
if Simone Biles, if she retires, would you say, oh, she's not a gymnast?
No.
No, she's going to be a gymnast for her entire life, whether she does gymnastics or not.
Right.
So when you kind of look at all the other sports and the way other people would say it, like, yeah, once you do it, then that's you're a triathlete. You've done triathlon.
Yeah, and like it just goes back to a runner. Am I a runner if I'm a run walker? People don't
Yeah.
consider themselves necessarily a runner unless they're like competitive. And I would tell people, if you walked out this door and ran 2 steps, you're a runner. You
Right.
ran. You would
ran.
consider yourself a runner. So it's definitely, again, goes back to that mindset, that perspective, that reframing. The context is everything, like we always talk about. One thing in the article was triathlon's very time consuming. It can be. It doesn't have to be, though. So if people are in the sport and they are multi-sport, triathlete or ultra, and they quit because it's too time consuming, I would encourage them not to quit, but maybe look at their time they have to train, and they can still enjoy the training and the competition without training like they used to. Like, I don't want to train like I used to. It used to be time consuming for me, but I made the time to do it because I loved it.
Right.
Triathlon was I'm going to admit it, was my identity for so long because I revolved my life around triathlete. Now as a coach and as an athlete, I revolve my training around my life. Like, I have my other life priorities, and I fit training around my other life priorities. Where back when I was younger and when I started, I didn't have a lot of life priorities. I was a student. I was young, I didn't have a family or anything like that to do, or a job. I was a student, and all I did was train, and I was brought up as a swimmer. So that was kind of my lifestyle, but I definitely fit life. I definitely set training first and fit my life into my training, which would be definitely an identity thing.
Right.
And again, stopping the sport, again, if you don't have a strong why or strong passion or desire, then, I wouldn't say you have to stop the sport. You can still be a multi-sport athlete and not compete. Like, I consider myself still a multi-sport athlete, and I do compete once a year, but it's not like I used to be. I just taken a step back and rearranged some things to make it work in my current livelihood and my current life priorities.
Right. Yeah. So two things you mentioned that kind of caught my attention. If you guys are thinking like, oh, I have to quit this because it's too time consuming, and that's really the only reason why you feel like you have to quit or stop or retire, definitely talk to a coach who can rearrange your training plan, like Wendy said, to fit into your schedule and into your life. And that is very realistic. So the last 2 months, I'm somebody who, if I have the time, I will train all the time in the world. I love really big mileage. I love a lot of training. But in the summers, especially now with, I'm a mom now. I run this swim team. Our swim team has gotten to be 130 kids. It's a lot more time consuming. And I only do one race in the summer, and that's the Boulder Peak. And the last 2 months, I've only trained about 5 to 7 hours a week, which on average is an hour a day, which is, in my opinion, what anyone should be doing for their health anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So and even if you're the kind of person you're like, oh, I can only train like half an hour to 45 minutes a day for my health, like between walking, strength training, whatever, you could still train for a sprint or an Olympic distance triathlon in that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to. So the other side of the coin is, if you're not passionate about it, like Wendy said, if it's not something you want to do anymore, definitely, that's a great reason to give something up. You're not into it anymore.
Right. And like, again, the title of the article, triathletes share why they left the sport. Even if I stop competing, I'm not going to leave the sport because I love cross training. I really enjoy biking, just to go for a bike ride. No other reason than I want to go outside on my bike. I enjoy swimming because it just feels so good to move my body in the pool. And currently my sport mostly is running. So again, the definition of leaving the sport, what does that mean? They're leaving the race setting, or they're actually just stop training and quitting?
They're not going to ever swim, bike, or run again.
Right. They're quitting cold turkey. So again, it's just breaking apart these concepts, because again, context is everything. And I'd love to hear what other people have to say, like in our world, people who are listening to the podcast. I'd love to hear what they have to say about the article. Because
I think that like you had mentioned, multi-sport, these days there are races that are SUP instead of the swim, or there are races that are, there's aqua bikes and aquathons and duathlons. And if you like the idea of multi-sport, but because I have a friend right now, he can't run. He has to have surgery on his knee. He can't run. And he's always been a duathlete. He doesn't like swimming at all, and he's not a great swimmer. But now he can't run, and he still loves the idea of multi-sport. So he started doing aqua bikes. So he retired from duathlon for the time being, but he, instead of just being a cyclist or instead of just moving to another sport, he likes multi-sport. So he started, okay, I'll get in the water, start swimming, practicing swimming, getting some technique down so that I can be competitive in the aqua bike.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
one thing I think that's really cool about multi-sport is multi-sport just means a couple different sports.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to stay in the multi-sport world, but you just are sick of, like my friend Susan, I don't think she's done a triathlon maybe this whole year, and she's been a triathlete forever. And she's been doing duathlon because she hates swimming.
I know who you're talking about.
I know, because everyone knows she hates swimming. Like everyone knows who we're talking about.
And again, the whole duathlon, aqua bike, some years you focus on swimming, some years you focus on biking. Right now couple years I've just been focusing on running while still maintaining some swim and bike. And again, I've developed this seasonal triathlon is June through August, June through September. It's my summer cross training. It's my off season from ultra running, but my ultra running is my off season from triathlon training. So I feel like I have a really good balance and schedule with what I do with multisport. And again, like I'm not doing Ironman anymore. I mean, I'm doing sprints and I'm going to do an Olympic this year. So it's really just, there's just so many different things you can focus on when it comes to multisport, which I think is again, a reason that athletes who may feel some burnout, maybe you're feeling burnout from because you are doing such a large volume of training, you can lower that volume of training, do a shorter distance, whatever's causing the burnout can be fixed with being a multi-sport athlete.
Right. Or just changing things up. So I'm working with one of my athletes right now. He messaged me, I think 3 days ago, and he was like, running is really hard for me right now. And he's training for he's training for a half Ironman distance. The longest he's ever done is Olympic. So it's the time of the year right now where he's starting to increase some volume. And I said, is it mentally hard or physically hard? Because there's a big difference. Like if you're just like, oh, I don't feel like running, or like you start running and your body's like, nope, I don't feel like running. He said both. And so I said, okay, we'll get through this week because we already had it all set up. If a lot of times, if you know, all you have to do is get through a week, it actually makes training a little bit easier. So I said, get through this week. And then next week, we'll do some short interval running training. So he's been doing kind of the slog because he's in his build phase where he's building up. But if he is mentally and physically like hates running, then let's make a change. We could still run and still train in a way that's beneficial. Just change it up a little bit. So I think that's, again, like when he said, change something up. If you're like both Wendy and I have, quote, retired from full distance Ironman. Like where neither one of us have any desire, but it wasn't because of the cost or the time or whatever. We're like, well, I'm done with that distance for a while.
Yeah, for a while. Never say never.
I say forever, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm going to say forever too, but again, you never know. So yeah, it's just, and you just, I've had my fix. My whys have changed, and I'm doing other things that are just as fulfilling as what an Ironman used to fulfill me with.
Right. The other thing I wanted to mention, because the article also, people cited reasons of it being too expensive. It's like, they're like, races are so expensive and equipment is so expensive. There are less expensive races and there are less expensive equipment. You don't have to go out and get a brand new top of the line triathlon bike.
I know. I love this. I love this because Ironman is expensive, but triathlon is not Ironman. Multisport is not Ironman. And I think people forget that. I've said this for the last like 10, 15 years. There's this Ironman craze and I was part of it.
Right.
But triathlon is not Ironman.
Right. So for example, I was looking at, I wanted to do the T100 race in Las Vegas in October. They ended up canceling it. So I'd already registered. They canceled it.
This year?
Yeah, this year. They just canceled it a few weeks ago, sent everybody their money back.
Oh. And
so then I'm like, well, I want to do one more race in October. So I'm looking through the races in October. And there's a few different, I want to do like around a half Ironman distance. So, Ironman branded races does have a race. I was looking October, November, December, and it's around like $400 to $500 for a half Ironman distance that Ironman puts on, 70.3. And then I was looking at Alpha Win, who used to be Hits, because they have some races, and I've done a bunch of their races in the past, and I really like them. So I looked at their cost, and theirs was much less, maybe like $300. And then I found a race by a company. It's pretty local. They have races in Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and Colorado. It's called BBSC. And I think they're getting ready to change their name because the owner's been a different owner the last couple of years. They have a race in Las Vegas in October, the same distance pretty much as the T100. And it's $180.
Nice.
And the Wildlife Loop, the one that I always do in South Dakota in September that I'm doing this year, their half distance is $180. So there are, like Wendy said, like doing a race doesn't have to be like clean out your whole savings or the same price as your mortgage. You can look around and find smaller race companies that offer the same experience. The same distance, similar experience at a much less cost to you. And the same with equipment. Like I did my first Ironman on a bike that I got from a used bike shop for $300. And I did buy the clip-on aero bars and maybe a couple other things, and I just used to buy like the cheapest running shoes, whatever I could find on sale. And I wore the same kit for like 5 years. It was this top and this bottom, and they were so loose because they were so stretched out from wearing them for 5 years. And they were really inexpensive on sale. There are lots and lots of ways that you can make this sport less expensive. And there are lots and lots of ways you can make this sport very, very expensive. Mm-hmm. So look around, ask around. People are selling. I probably could think of 100 people who bought something new, did a triathlon, and decided they didn't want it. They're like a one and done. They're like, oh, I'm glad I did it, but I don't think I want to do anymore. They have bikes, they have wetsuits, they have all this equipment that they're selling for really, really inexpensive. And that's a great way to buy almost new stuff.
Right. Or they bought something new and it didn't fit and they didn't want to bother with the return process.
Right.
So
every bike.
Just knowing the right people and looking around and asking questions.
Yeah. And just buy, like my bike that I have right now, it's a 2014. I bought it from my friend for $1,000. Mm-hmm. And that's the bike that I race and win races on. So it's not, I don't need a $10,000 bike in order to do well in racing.
Right. I don't use race wheels.
Yeah, there you go. And Wendy wins them all.
I used to. I do win. My goals now are always to win. If there's a Grandmaster category, I want to win the Grandmaster category. Sometimes I'm in the Masters category, which is 40 plus. Sometimes there's Grandmasters, which is 50 plus. Sometimes there's Grandmasters, which is 60 plus. But again, my goal for my upcoming race in September is to win the Grandmasters because I think they have a Grandmasters. Yeah,
that's when I did Boulder Peak, I won my age. I won 50 and over. So the girl who came in right before me was in her 40s. The girl who came right before her was in her 20s. I was the first place person over 50, and I was thrilled with that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that's all we can do. We're getting old.
Yep.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add about your article?
No, that was good. I just wanted to open it up for discussion.
To chit chat about it.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for this upcoming week?
It's our last week of long course season. So we'll be having a party, and then I head to Athens for the senior state meet, and then we have a week off, and I'm going to visit my sister.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm really excited this weekend because I don't have a super busy weekend. And my last couple of weeks, we had 3 swim meets last week, 2 swim meets the week before. We have 3 swim meets next week. It's been a lot. Oh, and my sister was in town. Mm-hmm. I was like trying to spend every waking moment with her and my niece. Yeah. Wow. And then we had 2 unexpected deaths in our family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One was like a month ago. And so people were in town for the celebration of life. And then it was my aunt, her brother, my uncle died the day before her celebration
Oh
of
my
life.
gosh. Wow.
Like, and they were both like very sudden, not expected, both weird medical things. So we had a ton of people in town. It was just like, I don't even remember this last week.
Mhm.
And it was great to connect with all the family. Like, that's always a good, like, if thinking of like the positives that come out of any tragedy or a bad event is always appreciating life and sharing the stories with everybody. And it really
Yeah.
brought back a lot of stuff about our childhood, which was fun because we pretty much all grew up, like, they're both from Colorado. They both live in
Mhm.
Colorado. So it's been a whirlwind. So I'm very excited I have a low key weekend this weekend.
Nice. I love it. I get it. I understand.
I know, right? All right. Well, let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Share your thoughts, we just love hearing from you guys. So send us messages. Let us know if you got anything fresh from anything we talk about. And just, we love that you're a part of our life.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Make it a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes. We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review. And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day.